Welcome back aboard the horse-powered train to absolutely nowhere. And we have a problem to solve straight away, even starting this episode, which is the build-up of limestone at the Garsdale limescale mines. And this, there's a huge amount of limestone waiting here, and our rating's only mediocre. And this means that we're only transporting, well, it says 44% of this. This may drop further as this rating drops further. So there's a lot of kind of limestone opportunity we're missing here with this low station rating. And station ratings kind of come. There's a few things that we're doing well here, which is why it's only mediocre. It's not sort of appalling or lower. And the reason for this is station ratings kind of they have a few components, and there's the time since the last vehicle picked up is quite a major component. There's a poor old non-luminous Bob. We haven't forgotten him. He will be reunited one day. And as well as the time since last pickup, there's a small component for the age of the vehicle and its top speed. So you get better station ratings for faster vehicles, and you will get a better station rating for newer vehicles. Although that falls off once a vehicle is 3 years old. It's like, oh, that's hopelessly old. 3-year-old train, no way. And then there's some sort of local authority factors, and there's also a factor for just how much cargo you have waiting. So if you have big piles of cargo waiting, it will penalise you sort of 10-20% off your potential rating. So let's start fixing this. So stop waffling on about it, actually fix it. So let's clone a load of trains. Excellent. For this, we had quite a lot of money, didn't we? So let's clone trains until we create a problem. So, and this station will become a problem. So early on, obviously, we were building very, very simple, very small stations, and that was sufficing. And then we kind of moved on to this sort of roll-on, roll-off design. We're like, yes, this kind of works. But you can already see here that trains are going to be waiting. So we need to start building this out a little bit and expanding this station. So how can we make this more efficient? How can we make this more efficient while trains are trying to use it? Because, of course, absolutely breaking everything is a hallmark of this series. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to give us a little bit more space in which to operate. And then I'm going to remove that. And that, and that. That will be fine for there. And then I'm going to build that. Let's tidy up first. Let's make sure things are nice and tidy before we start doing anything with the station. Okay, station upgrade. So we've done this kind of thing a little while before, a few times before. So let's just add another platform. Add another exit track. So this I am starting to think a little bit about the tightness of the turns. Not too much. These are still fairly tight. So there we go. So this now allows 2 platforms for loading and unloading. This might be enough. Let's leave that, because the next thing that we need to optimize is our unload station. And we have probably a couple of issues with this. So part 1 is this flat junction, which causes trains are having to stop. They'd have to stop anyway, I suppose, for that movement. But trains are all having to cross lines, cross each other. And what we can do with that is these trains are going to be empty at this point. So they're relatively light. They're not, and that means that what we can think about, let's not go wild with that, is actually having an elevated junction. Ooh. Oh, there we go. I was right the first time. And the elevated junction here means that suddenly that crossing there can go. And we can add some signals. This is not great signalling, by the way. The signalling could be done much better. But this now means that trains that are heading off here no longer have to conflict with this line. They don't have to cross this anymore. Get rid of that as well. That's not useful. That's not useful. And so this now means that if a train's sort of coming down here, it's not going to get blocked by a train coming, sort of peeling off this line to go up there. This train's going to go up and over the hill, the bridge. Yes, that's what you call an artificial hill with a hole in it, the bridge. And it slows down a little, but it doesn't slow down too much because it's empty. It's a lot lighter. So, for example, if you look at this weighs 129 tons when it's empty, whereas when it's full of stuff, it weighs over 300 tons. And over 300 tons, that would slow down a lot more on a hill. So there we go. There's a slight improvement. Let's also bring out this to the same standard as our pickup station. So I'm going to... mineral unloader is quite big. And again, I'm going to just bring this out a little more. Sort of allow these to go slightly faster. Break the signalling, because that's fun. Put those there. And those exit signals are necessary for the path reservation to work. On a simple station like this, and I think I've mentioned this in previous episodes, that you don't need the entry signals. You can save a little bit of space because the station itself has an entry signal, but the station's entry signal is not a path-based signal. So if you relied on the station signal, what would happen is this entire block would get reserved, including this. So there we go. So now we have a little bit more efficiency for the trains to come in, and this helps. This kind of helps quite a lot. Why does this help a lot? Well, if you look at this train that's sort of just come in here, quite a bit of what it's doing in the station, it spends quite a lot of time slowing down and accelerating. Now, if you have just one platform, that slowing down kind of can start bunching things up on the main line, because this train is slowing down in here. And it takes proportionately longer to get through the station than it does to get through sort of a standard tile of main line. But when you have the second platform, this is slowing down and stopping, it's taking its time doing that. But this train is perfectly free to carry on. And look, that's accelerating away. If we had just one platform, that would be sitting there waiting. And you would have to accelerate up to speed a little bit, come into the station, then slow down. So this small and going to the second platform can actually be quite a big boost in efficiency. And there we go. We have that already. There's plenty of trains crawling down here. So I'm going to monitor this. Ooh, this is interesting. So where we have here now, we've started to encounter a simple problem, which is actually signalling, the throughput issue. We don't have signals on the exit, so this was a long block and everything was waiting for that block to clear. So let's see how that goes now. So this should again improve things, and it's even more of an improvement on the loading side, because loading is quite a slow operation. Obviously, you know, even if the cargo is ready, and in this case, you know, we have tons and tons of the stuff sitting and waiting. These vehicles do have their own limited loading speed, so even on these sort of small, these small little trucks, open wagons, they still have a slightly slow loading speed. So it still takes a train a while sitting in here to fully load and be ready, and that. It's not so much of a problem on the exit, but it can be a problem with the throughput as you come in, because you can end up with trains sort of queuing up here, where they could be filling up and they could be getting ready to go, and they're not. They are waiting on existing trains loading and backing up the main line. That's looking better, but we are now starting to see another issue, which is my uneven signalling is causing these trains to slow down. So let's try to resolve that. You can see here we're getting rather a lot of money rolling in from this. This is a point at which things start to become a little easier. And we still don't have another train loading. Now, I don't want to go too overboard on this, adding too many trains. Even though I totally unscientifically added a bunch. And then it kind of hoping it would work. But yes, this is quite slow. And I think this is just that there are lots of stretches of signals. So I'm going to do something that is incredibly high risk, that you probably should never ever do, which is I'm going to take this signal. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to control, drag, and remove the signals, and then very quickly reinstate them. Now, what that has done, why is that ridiculously high risk, is for a very brief moment, every single train on this line was running, going forward, and yet had no signals preventing. Oh, that's interesting. Ah, yes, I know why that happens. That was less risky, but also didn't work. The reason it was less risky, but also didn't work, is I have a depot here. So when you signal tiles in OpenTTD, when you do this, hold down Control and drag them. So I'll explain what I'm doing really, which is when I tap R on my keyboard, which puts this into remove mode, I can then hold down Control and drag. This will remove the entire stretch of signals, and you can see this has started causing problems with routing and the usual joy of vehicles being unable to find a path. But doing that sort of holding down Control and dragging will remove all of the signals all the way up to the next junction, which is potential catastrophe if you have trains running and trains that are waiting for a stopped train. They could start quite feasibly running into the back of each other, and you have a big problem on your hands. So that's why it's a very stupid move. It's very dangerous, but it's also very quick. So, and guess which facet of it appeals to me more. So this is a very, very dangerous railroad, the Blue and Co railroad. This is high risk. This is sort of an extreme, no fear sort of railroad. This is a railroad for the type of people who chug energy drinks and wear mirror shades and GoPro eating their breakfast in some sort of extreme manner. And so, this is the OpenTTD equivalent of I don't know, extreme Cocoa Pops eaten while abseiling down a cliff face. Is this is the equivalent of you sort of kicking off the cliff edge. This is the really big, exciting. Oh no, I need to remove. This is the really big, really huge sort of exciting bit where milk's flying everywhere, Cocoa Pops are flying everywhere. It looks like the extreme breakfast eater is about to drop their box of cereal down. And oh, there we go. How quickly can we? Oh, there we go. First collision. It didn't work out. It failed. Oh dear. That's really not gone well, has it? I said it was a dumb idea. How long did it take? It took us 58 No, we started in 1815. It's not quite 58 years. It's fewer years than that before we finally had a big crash. I should really be terribly, terribly upset about this. That we sort of killed 2 virtual firemen and train drivers. This is a terrible catastrophe. Let's just quietly replace those trains and not think about it. So, and this has an impact, by the way, and I don't know whether this is in the radius. This is not within the radius. So the fact that this kind of happened out in the middle of nowhere, we can kind of just cover it up. Let's plant some trees around it so nobody can actually see what happens. There we go. Yes. But if I had a station nearby, the rating would have immediately dropped to appalling. Oh dear. And of course, I do have a practical problem that has blocked the line. That will keep the line blocked for some time. So let's just work around it. Let's maybe not try and do any extreme signalling. Let's just pop a little temporary workaround for this. Wooden bridge. Oh well, it's fine. Trains might be moving at 20 miles an hour, but at least they will be moving. And something I can actually show you something useful here, which is you can click on a bridge to upgrade it. So if you just click on the bridgehead tile, it will upgrade that bridge. And what we are going to see probably here with this is these are 300-ton trains going over and over a bridge, and this is going to yes, look how much that slows down. So compared to the sort of the 37 miles an hour or so that the junction when the train is empty, these, oh hang on, they're slowing down to 30 because the bridge is 30. This may not be physics at all. Let's have a look. I thought this did slow down to kind of slower than that. Yeah, it does. It slows down to sort of 28 because it can't accelerate. But oh yes, of course. So it slows to 28 on this. This is not so bad because this is like sort of like we're playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, and the train is being pushed forward by as much as it's being slowed down by the sort of upslope there. So this kind of, we get away with it because we have longer trains, and this is a very exciting kind of limestone roller coaster going on here, next to the sort of theming of the grisly crashed train from our extreme signalling experiments, where we were we asked kindly Mr. Babbage and said, Mr. Babbage, could you create the Babbage GoPro? You know, a 13-ton action camera powered by lots of brass cogs. And we asked the Montgolfier brothers, and said, "Oh, could you build us a drone so that we can film our really exciting signalling experiment?" And the Montgolfier brothers went, "Oh, yes, sure, we'll build you a sort of balloon you can hang your Babbage action camera from. But don't make us go in it. That would be scary." Like, okay. And yes, this is all over. So there we go. We've had a spectacular disaster. It's all gone horribly wrong. I perhaps have learnt something about signalling. Yes. Well, this is nice and clean now. This doesn't have any. Yes, I should have learnt a very important lesson about signalling. So let's do it again. Success. Don't ever do this in your games. This is just a spectacularly bad idea. This whole sort of emergency resignaling, but at the cost of a tragic fatal accident that we're being completely blasé about. This has stopped that sort of bunching of trains, because now we have nice even signalling distances. There's a little bit of bunching going on. So what's the cause for that bunching? Let's let this sort of smooth out a bit, I guess. So, yes, this main line is now is it a main line? It's a line. It's fairly main. So this is now running fairly nice, like sort of clockwork, like the ticking cogs of our Babbage action camera as it drifts from its Montgolfier sort of hot air balloon that we're using because, you know, we're kind of over 100 years away from drones being invented. But yes, this is how you're seeing this. This is how OpenTTD. This is how this is presented. You're actually seeing raw footage from a Babbage action camera dangling from a Montgolfier balloon. It's why it's all a little bit low res, because you know, Babbage had to build a GoPro using only brass cogs, and which is why it's about 11 tons and doesn't produce amazing output. Yeah, so this is slowly going down. So I'm not going to mess with this too much, because this, if I add loads of trains, if I have a sort of flurry of train building and send lots of trains here, what will happen is this limestone kind of backlog will disappear. And then I end up with a situation that I have lots of trains queuing up and there's no limestone for them to pick up. So I'm going to hold back off that. We can see the rating will improve. So there will be a point at which I need to add more trains. Ooh. Wow, that's unexpected. I must have done that years and years ago. I asked Clara to go to the depot. And then, oh, no. Well, I did. I did technically years and years ago ask Clara to go to the depot. But the reason for that is this is our special order. So this is our genius scheme to make sure that when the horses get old, they just calmly go to the depot. So there we go. So I'll just replace that. I'm not going to. I could probably upgrade this line. Well, that's a good project, but that's a good project for next time. So let's leave that off a little bit, upgrading that line. So I know that I need to do that. I now have my plot for the next episode. That's great. Excellent. So let's go back to just explaining this. Explain what's going on here. So what I'm looking for is all the time this is reducing, all the time this sort of keeps reducing, then I know that I have probably, if maybe even more than enough trains. There will become a point where it reaches kind of equilibrium, and the where the rating starts to increase because we've improved the service, and so therefore the rating starts to increase. More limestone gets to the station, and then it starts stacking up again. I think we're seeing that. I think it was down as low as 300, but it is kind of creeping back up. So let's put 2 more trains onto this. Make sure they are grouped. How many limestone trains do we have? We have 23, I think, in this group, plus the 2 gigahorse ones, which are now non-gig or non-horses. There we go. So let's let those run. Those are going to take a fair chunk of limestone as well, down to 280 tons. And let's just do some more coal train. This is good. This works quite well. This whole depot order at certain age, that I like. That was a good plan. Yes, do that. Don't do the live resignaling causing a massive collision. That's a bad idea. But do the gentle sort of programmable conditional ordering thing. That worked well. Yeah, see this, we've added 2 trains, it's still back up 462 tons. And this, what's happening here is the additional trains and the reduction in cargo is just improving the rating. So every time we add a train, we're getting another sort of 3, 4, 5% of this limestone output, which is kind of enough to keep a train going. So this is a good situation because we can just effectively keep adding trains, and it just turns into an enormous money pile. If you look at sort of limestone, that's immense. That's making us 230,000 a year. It's August, and we've almost achieved the last year's profit, so this is only increasing as well. Now, there may be a short-term boost from the fact we're transporting an enormous backlog, but it does look like the volume from this mine is enough to support this. Oh, Clark needs replacing as well. So this is very good. This is kind of an excellent situation here happening with this limestone mine. And it's still hovering around 330 tons. So I think we could add yet another train and just keep going with this. We could probably just keep doing this endlessly. It's train after train after train. So let's see. So what I want to do is a very good. This is down there. Once it gets down to 0, then I think that will be acceptable. So it's down to sort of 70 tons. What I want, the critical thing that I want here, knowing that my rating, usually with most of these sort of early trains, your rating for stations without any additional local authority stuff, which I should talk about at some future point, but we're running out of time here, will top out at around sort of 68%. So once I got to the point where my limestone backlog has been removed, a train actually has to wait for enough limestone, which this is happening, and my rating is kind of up at very good. I know that this is probably sized about to capacity. May even have 1 train too many, in fact, because this train is coming in before that train is fully done. But let's leave that there. I think we have achieved something useful here, and we have another plan, which is to upgrade our old horse lines with the tremendous amount of cash that we're building up from this. So I shall leave that there, and I shall see you next time.